You guys are all hanging out with me down on the floor today, because today we're going to be talking about something I never thought I'd be talking about, which is a projector designed for Xbox? The Corsair HS80 Max wireless low latency gaming headset features Dolby Atmos spatial audio for PC and cross-platform compatible with PC, Mac, PS4 and 5 and mobile devices, creating a single headset solution. The long-lasting battery life and plush comfort ear cups provide a comfortable fit for long gaming sessions, while the omnidirectional microphone with NVIDIA Broadcast guarantee your teammates will always hear you even when the action both in and out of game is intense. To see the full list of specs and features of the Corsair HS80 Max wireless gaming headset, click the link in the description below. That's also why we have our green rag. It's appropriate. Anyway, now we're gonna talk about today, obviously a projector is designed for more than just an Xbox. We're gonna talk about why that would even be a thing. But this is the X2-4K gaming projector from ViewSonic. We've taken a look at quite a few ViewSonic like Elite panels and stuff. We almost use Elite panels exclusively on all our benchmarks and such. But this is a 4K HDR projector that we're gonna do some gaming on and see exactly whether or not it's even worth it. So let's talk about first and foremost a projector. Like, who does a projector even like appeal to? Well, those are gonna be folks that are just heavily into cinema. To be honest, that's where I'm gonna start with. But like, gaming and projectors tend to not go hand in hand for the most part. But people who are into just like home cinema or trying to get that whole home, like that theater recreated feel at home, is going to look at high-end digital LED projectors. Not only that, you can make the screen massive because the farther the projector away from the screen, the bigger the screen will be. The problem is, if it's not a high-resolution projector or it's not a great quality projector, the farther away it is from the screen, the bigger the pixels end up being, and then it just starts to look real fuzzy. The nice thing about projector images, though, is that unlike a grid array or a pixel array on a screen that is physical with like a screen door effect and all of that, because this is light shining at a screen, and that light scatter on the screen tends to sort of blur a lot of those pixels. So even though we might be looking at 4K, like 120-inch screen, which we're gonna be using on here, you're not gonna have this very like defined pixel that's going to be like kind of in your face. Sort of like the theater if you go to like the cinema, whether it be like AMC or whatever, and you're looking at like, what are they, like 1,000-inch screens or bigger? No, they're way bigger than that. They're like 40-foot screens, they're massive. They're 8K LED projectors. Most of them are 8K. I think some are going up to like 12K now, but most of them are like 8K. And the reason why you're not seeing big old pixels on the wall is because of the fact that it's just all blurred to the way that the light is hitting the screen. And the screen design is just as important as the projector itself. You can't just put up a white bed sheet and expect to get a nice sharp screen. But what makes the X2 4K a gaming projector, supposedly, is the fact that it has high refresh rate. Now, let's talk about the refresh rates real quick and the resolutions, and then we'll kind of get it going. We'll take a tour through getting it all set up, because obviously it's gonna have some skewing depending on whether or not it's on a table, or it's up high, or it's an inverted hanging from a ceiling. All of those are options for mounting it. But it's a 1080p, 240 hertz, 1440p, 120 hertz, 4K 60 hertz. So you'll notice every time we up the resolution, we go a magnitude of half for the frame rate. Now 4K 60 is more than enough for watching movies and stuff, whether it be through streaming services or 4K/8K Blu-ray players, because those are only at like 23.96 or something like that, 24 frames per second, or 24p, that's cinematic, it's 24p. So 4K 60 is gonna be high fidelity, pretty sharp, but 60 frames per second for most people, depending on the game type, is just probably not gonna cut it. A lot of games it's gonna be fine, especially if you're on console gaming, because the thing is designed for Xbox, and we have one right here because we're gonna be running it on Xbox to see how it performs. Most consoles are not gonna be able to achieve 4K 60 or higher anyway. But because it's CEC HDMI, means that you can control the projector through HDMI. It doesn't have to be hooked up to an Xbox. It could be an Xbox, it could be a PlayStation 5, it could be a PlayStation 4, it could be an Xbox One X, One S, Xbox One, whatever. A gaming PC, home theater PC, laptop, it doesn't matter. So the cool thing is that you can have the device turn on and turn off with the on and off of the device connected to it. So if your Xbox turns on, it turns on the projector, because nothing sucks more than like, I want to play my game, so you turn on the Xbox and you got to find the controller and point it at the, the projector up on the ceiling or on the table or whatever to get it to turn on. And when you're done, The worst thing you could ever do is leave most projectors, especially like a filament lamp projector, just on for no reason, because the number one killer of projectors is heat and light, especially like touching the lens or touching the lamp, getting any sort of finger oils and stuff on there. This being LED, that's not gonna be a problem. So it's got 60,000 hours of rated life. Obviously that depends on your brightness and other things, but 60,000 hours of life on there. But anyway, as I started to say, having CEC connection, being able to have it turn on and off of your device is really nice. In fact, you can do volume control through it as well. Now, if you want to go in and change any of the specific like ViewSonic projector settings, you need a remote control to do that. But it's just kind of nice to have that CEC connection. Now that's gonna work with, like I said, anything that is rated CEC. So it's not just a Microsoft Xbox exclusive. Kind of tinfoil hat here though, I think one of the only things that makes it quote unquote Xbox ready or designed for are the green bars and the fact that it has Xbox in the marketing material. I can't really blame ViewSonic for maybe taking Microsoft money to put it in the name. I mean, that's that. But I just want to kind of put that out there because I know by now people are like, what does that even mean? It was just a collaboration. And probably to put the color green on it, to be honest. But because it's an LED, it's also really light. So obviously mounting it like on the ceiling or whatever is not gonna be too bad. But you can see we do have top mounted controls here. So anything you can access from the remote control is gonna be accessible from the unit itself. Obviously, if it's hanging upside down from the ceiling, it's gonna be kind of inverted and you might need a step stool to get up to it. So don't lose your remote. But this is also where you've got your throw lever right there, and that's how you're gonna adjust the amount of zoom in or zoom out for the optics itself. And then you have your fine focus control on there as well. So if we take a look at the bottom though, you can see right now, we've got this little flip out foot that's got two positions here. We got like a little bit of a higher position or a little bit of a lower position or the lowest position period. That's just so that if you're sitting it on a table like we are, you can get it propped up and pointing correctly towards the screen. And if we go and take a look at the input side, you can see we've got two HDMI 2.2s. One of them is CEC, so HDMI 2 is CEC, which we have it connected to for the reasons we already described. We have this is like a communication port for like programming and stuff. We have obviously an audio out jack, which is just a basic 3.5 millimeter. Although it does have Harman Kardon speakers built into it, which actually sound better than most TVs. But I would recommend maybe just splitting off your audio signal to your audio stack separate from going through this. Just that way you're not going HDMI into here to a 3.5 millimeter analog out that can pick up all sorts of interference from cables near it. And then obviously we have our USB stick right here, and this could be for like updating firmwares. You can play audio, you can play MP4s through that. But the projector itself has like built-in streaming features for like Netflix and Hulu and HBO Max and all that sort of stuff. All right, enough of me talking about it. Let's go ahead and get it on. Let's get it set up, show you how we're gonna get it sort of adjusted to the screen, and then let's start testing some of these frame rates and stuff. So as you can see, I have a beautiful image right here, which is probably a lot of, now this isn't a tutorial of how to set up a projector. There's a lot more to it than I'm about to show you. Like the squareness of the projector to the screen is very important. Otherwise you could have various points of the screen out of focus if they're even 1 degree off. I don't have the equipment to make sure it's perfectly perpendicular to the screen, but it's gonna be close enough for the point of this video. Anyway, here's the throw knob as I was telling you, so we can get it sort of adjusted how we want it. We can get it into focus here, pretty good. Now you can see, and I'm not gonna go full, I guess I can go back a little bit. So as you can see, one of the ways to make it bigger outside of just the amount of throw that you have with the knob is by how far away it is from the screen. So if we hit this, we can do keystone adjustments. Now keystone is where we can adjust, right? So you see how now we're getting the vertical adjustment just right? And that's pretty much all we need to change simply because of the fact that it's, you know, vertical height is off because it's so much lower than it. So we can get that to where it's pretty square. Like we're still a little perpendicular. We also, if I know that it's a little bit not flat, like this is a concrete floor that has carpet on it. It's not perfectly level. So we get things like where it's a little lower on the right side of the screen than the left. And this is where professional installation would come in and shim everything perfectly with the mount and get it all just right. Again, we're not going through all that today, but we've got that adjusted. Now I can go ahead and sort of zoom this in a little more to fill out the screen and then adjust my focus again. And I'm focusing for trying to get the sharpest image right at the center of the screen. You might find the very far extreme corners might look a little bit fuzzy. Again, this is a $1,599 projector. I haven't mentioned the price yet, but I'm going to mention that now. You start getting up in like the $4,000 or $5,000 cinema projectors, then you get a lot of fine control on a lot of this focus. But some of the other settings here, we can do corner adjustments, right? So we can bring corners in and out, 90 degree or 45, but I'm not gonna do that right now because again, this is not about how to set up your projector. We care about the image quality. You might notice too is a little bit of light in the bottom left corner of our screen. That's because there is light in the room over here. We've got Nick back there playing a game. He might just look like he's playing a game, but we actually wanted some lighting and stuff going behind us so we can get an idea of what the ambient effect is going to be on the monitor or the projector itself, because overall brightness is very important. Speaking of brightness, it's actually rated at 2000 lumens ANSI. It doesn't have an HDR 10 or HDR 1000 or any other rating there, so I can't convert that to what the HDR sort of standard people have adopted is, but it's 2000 lumens ANSI. Now here's the thing you're gonna notice right here. It says, do you want to enable ultra-fast input? Ultra-fast input's obviously designed for input latency with like controllers and stuff, mice, keyboards, wireless controllers. Wireless controllers already have some latency in terms of like the connection with the Xbox and stuff. It's not too bad, but you start adding stacking of latency, including the image producer itself, then you're gonna have what seems like a ton of input lag when it comes to your devices. If you turn on the ultra-fast input, you lose the warping settings, the keystone settings, the corner adjustments, the aspect ratios, the overscan, the zoom, and everything will be set to default. And the reason for that is it is going to allocate all processing power to the image itself in terms of displaying it as fast as it can without any of those processings done on top of it. So as you can see now, we have a very skewed image because we lost our keystone setting. So that is, in my opinion, one of the most fatal drawbacks to a gaming projector, to lose any of the absolutely necessary functions of getting the keystone correct, because it's never gonna be perfectly centered straight at the screen, because that's where your eyes should be. So I think this would just be for people that are like, I want the fastest input, even if the screen looks like it's like a monitor that's like falling over. So that, to me, is a terrible, terrible trade-off. In advanced setting, this is where we can adjust our color and our sharpness and our gamma and all that sort of stuff. All the stuff you would expect to see in any sort of like TV or whatever. Enough of that. Let's go ahead now and turn on our Xbox. Our input should automatically change. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not a fan of the OS built into it. For screen mirroring, yes, we want to change to our input. For screen mirroring, it was laggy, it dropped out a lot. We already had a movie night here. We invited some friends over, we ordered some pizza, we watched Team America. I've never seen it before, so of course I laughed my ass off because it is just my kind of humor. And I still have to go in and fix the keystoning. But we tried to do screen mirroring from like our iPhone and all that sort of stuff, and it just was not working well. So we downloaded like the app directly. It's like I downloaded the Hulu app, and it would not log in. It kept saying incorrect username or password, but it's exactly the same username or password that I have for my Hulu account that I logged into both my phone and my computer to verify that I was doing the right account. It would not log in. So I would not use the smart TV / built-in OS of the ViewSonic X2-4K as a selling point. To me, it's weak. So it needs to be whatever it's hooked up to is the driving source of your gaming and your streaming, and all that needs to be through whatever's connected to it, not it itself. There needs to be some serious work on that. Fortunately for ViewSonic, that is something that can absolutely be improved through firmware and OS updates and stuff. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and show off the CEC portion of it right now. So imagine the projector is like mounted over my head, right? Where I can't reach it and stuff. So I'm just gonna turn off the console, and what you'll notice is it's going to turn off the projector as well. We got a green light saying that it's on. You can hear the fan blowing, and now it's off. This is the best part about it being an LED, is an old school filament lamp would have probably ran for 5+ minutes to cool it down. Because if you were to just turn off the projector and then the fan turns off, that radiant heat that's still in the bulb can pop it. The nice thing about it being an LED is it just cools down super fast. You've got a heat sink right on the diode itself on the backside, keeping it nice and cool. It's nice. Also too, that means we don't have to wait any length of time to turn it back on. So now that it's been off, we can just go ahead and turn on our Xbox, and then the projector will just simply turn itself on. There, we got a green light. It'll automatically detect the Xbox input, and then we'll start to give us a display as soon as it's fired up. And there it is. So a little bit on the slowish side, but still can be done. Okay, so let's talk about resolution and refresh rate here. Again, ultra fast mode, which I already mentioned, that's an input lag thing that will not increase your frame rates. Your frame rates are tied to the resolution with this particular projector. So Xbox is capable of doing 4K up to 120, I believe, depending on the game. So some games are automatically going to be limited by the developer because they know it's not going to be achievable. It could be a stuttery mess, so they sort of artificially limit. It's not a universal experience game to game to game on how the resolution and the refresh rate wants to work. And you'll notice on Xbox, there's a lot less settings for dialing any of that in than say its PC counterpart. So let's go to something like Rocket League right now. And we'll talk about the audio here too, since it's gonna play some music. These Harman Kardon speakers are actually very good. And I know why I'm using the remote, because I can do it from here. So if I hit the, see, it automatically asked us, do we want to go ultra fast? We're gonna say inactive because we know what's gonna happen if we say active. It's gonna mess up our keystoning. So I can turn volume up and down just by going here. See how it's, because the CEC, it's going right to the projector there. So I just went and turned the volume down, but the speakers are actually very good on this. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time talking about the speakers, one, because you're only gonna hear them as well as the mic's picking it up, which is a lav mic, and your speakers are playing it, which is not gonna do it justice. I'm gonna tell you right now, it is very usable on its own as a standalone speaker if you're in a pinch, but definitely hook it up to a surround sound or a sound bar or something for better audio. It's gonna be very difficult for you guys to see because of the fact that you are on a 30 FPS video, but this is getting us 60 FPS right now in, I'm gonna turn the volume up so I can kind of hear what I'm doing. It's getting us 60 FPS 4K right now. So in something like Rocket League, oh, it's so laggy. And I say laggy, the bindings are still for training. I say laggy only because I'm used to PC, not the console lag to the game. So that's what I'm referring to, not the actual projector itself. But anyway, if we want to get this to say, I keep hitting the wrong button. I keep hitting air roll, which is like sending it flying. Anyway, we can't go in here like in a normal computer game and then just tell it, let's just change the resolution. We get two settings, performance and quality, right? Performance is automatically gonna make it low settings, and then quality will change some of the settings. But not all games will let us go 1440p 120 hertz within its own game menu. So typically what a person would do is they would go into here, they would go into the settings, and then we would go over here to TV and display options, and you can see our resolution is actually set to 1440p 120 hertz right now. So the reason why I'm demonstrating this is the fact that this is sort of the problem with console, not the ViewSonic at all, but this is the problem with it being a gaming projector. We're not getting 1440p 120 hertz. We've set that as a default resolution for the Xbox right now, but the only place we're actually getting that for sure is in the menu system, which is why when I switch to the menu from the game, you get the black screen for a second because it's resolution switching. Because in the game, the projector is displaying 4K 60. So the only way we can get it to like give us the 120 hertz 1440p is to go into video modes and physically disable allow 4K. Now you'll see the screen is switching itself. It'll say 1440p. There it is, 2560 by 1440, 120 up at the top left corner. Now the projector's like, bro, this is a 4K projector. You should be using 4K. So it's gonna tell you that you should be using 4K every time it loads a game and stuff, which gets a little bit on the annoying side. But now we have 120 hertz. So I'm only pointing that out because of the fact that we learned that while switching between different games. Like Halo would not go 120. Obviously with Halo being a shooter game, we would want the higher refresh rate. Gears of War, however, would do 1440p 120 based on what the console was set to and would ignore that resolution that the device is, which is the projector in this instance, and not force itself to 4K 60, which is what like Halo was doing. So just a bit of an issue there as far as I'm concerned. However, 1440p on a projector like this is not the same as going into, say, your monitor and enabling 1440p and then immediately seeing how the 4K screen gets sort of a 1440p image stretched across it, which then makes the pixel count and the pixels look odd because of the fact that it's stretched out. It really is stretched out because of the fact 1080p to 4K means 4 pixels in a square for 1080p would equal 4K, right? So a 4K screen doing 1080p, it's just 4 pixels drawing that. So you still get the exact same overall look, it just looks like much larger pixels when you do it. 1440p, however, does not have that equal ratio like that. But on a projector, a lot of that is lost in the fact that that light bleed, like I explained earlier in the video. Let's just go ahead and go over into like Forza Horizon 5. Not only that too, because there is motion blur automatically on, it doesn't look terrible because of the fact that, again, motion blur hides a lot of that input, or that refresh rate crappiness at 60, if you will. Now we're at 1440p 60 hertz in Forza Horizon because this game only supports 60 hertz. But you know, I mean, I'm not complaining about a 120-inch gaming display right now. Like I could sit on my couch all day long and play this. In fact, it kind of looks like I already have. That's why I look the way I do. This is body by gaming. So now if we wanted to like start watching some of our streaming content, then what we would have to do is, to get 4K, we have to go into our Xbox settings now and re-allow 4K again, which to me is a little bit of a drawback. Now, I'm just gonna, I wouldn't call this like a great cinema projector, only because of the fact that there's too many other things that are limiting what I feel would be necessary, like the finer keystone adjustments. All right, so that's gaming in a nutshell. That's kind of the nuance that you have to set the Xbox to 1440p 120 and disable 4K, allow 4K if you want to guarantee the 120 hertz on the titles that support it. But the drawback to console gaming, like I said, is not all titles support 120 hertz even at 1440p. They all will support 4K 60, but that's a preference if you prefer high resolution, lower frame rate, or lower resolution, higher frame rate. I'm a lower resolution, higher frame rate person myself. So now when it comes to like Netflix right now, I'm not even gonna play like a video or whatever. I'm just gonna let sort of the menu go right now. But if we want to get this to 4K, now I've got to do this, right? I got to come here, not go sign out, go settings, go TV and display, go video modes, allow 4K. Now it's going to default to 4K, and then our streaming content would be in 4K. And I think if you've got a 4K projector, there is zero reason whatsoever you wouldn't want to stream your content in 4K. That's the whole point of having it. So that switching back and forth, that's a console thing. This is something you're not going to experience if you have hooked up to like a HD PC or home theater PC or a desktop or a laptop or whatever. The PC is just going to leave it at that resolution, and you can change the settings within the application to be the resolution you want it to be. So it actually looks really good. Like, I'll be honest, when we watched this for movie purposes, it was actually really good. In fact, it was even being directly connected or streamed from Phil's MacBook when we watched that movie. So I would have no issues at all watching movies on this and feel like I'm at a theater with the nice giant screen like this, with the proper surround sound and whatnot. But when it comes to gaming, it's really best to either have, like, in my opinion, just one functionality over the other, or you have to be okay with 4K 60 everywhere. And I think a lot of people probably would be okay with 4K 60, but that's where you have to basically comment and let us know, like, is the trade-off worth it to you? Would you go 4K 60, or would you do this dance of switching back and forth between different modes between apps? And I don't think most people would want to do that. So yeah, I mean, in terms of sharpness, even through something like YouTube, this looks really, really good. This is just 4K footage. It also doesn't help right now that we do have ambient lighting on in here, but I don't think a lot of people have dedicated closed off home theater rooms that this would go in without any sort of ambient light or window or something nearby. And I think if you did have that level of room, you would probably be shopping a much higher level tier of projector anyway, and you'd be less concerned about its gaming settings and 100% concerned with its like cinema capabilities. All right, guys, sound off down below. Like I said, I think for the price, it's been sold out. So people are buying it. There's been a lot of positive and there's been a lot of critiques. And I think a lot of the critiques that I've brought up today are valid ones that ViewSonic can go in and hopefully improve through firmware and software updates. The fact that it's $16.99, that sounds expensive when you really compare it to like a gaming monitor, but unless you're shopping 120-inch gaming monitors, which is like the max recommended resolution, or size, I should say, max size of the screen for this particular projector, I'm gonna turn this music off, you're not gonna find a gaming monitor for 120 hertz at $1,600. So it really is giving you, I think, for the projector, the person looking for a projector that can game, because just about all projectors are going to be 60 FPS, 60 hertz, no matter what. Like, so having 120 hertz option at 1440 or even 240 hertz option at 1080p, which we didn't even demonstrate, it works the same way we demonstrated the 1440. It's a nice way of getting both worlds. It's just, you have to flip some switches sometimes to get between those worlds. And that's where it's up to the user to decide if it's worth it or not. All right, there you go, guys. That's the ViewSonic X2-4K. Again, thanks to ViewSonic for sending this over for us to take a look at. They will watch the video and they will hear their critique, and they've always been super open to critique. So do me a favor, be constructive down below, give some realistic criticisms on what you think would make this better, and if you would have considered it, but you're not because of, fill that out down below. I'm interested to really see what people have to say. I'm not personally a projector enthusiast, but I know those that are. And those that are, it's like the audio file for your eyeballs, okay? To be honest. I mean, more so than even like looking at OLED screens and stuff. Projector enthusiasts? Yeah. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.